How's everybody doing today? So we are on a 2014 Camaro that the owner is complaining of the key getting locked in the cylinder. He tries to get out of the car, puts it in park, and he tries to turn the key off, and he can't get it off. He plays around with the shifter sometimes. Sometimes he just says he has to wait. Sometimes it's been up to 30 minutes before he finally is able to get the key out of the ignition cylinder. Now, there's a lock in here, interlock, so that unless the vehicle is in park, you can't get the key out. It won't release that interlock so that you can turn the key off. And I've got the scan tool here. We're going to use the D8 today, and we're going to see if we can figure out what's going on here and see what we can do to fix it. So, I'm going to turn the key on. And what I'm wanting to actually look at is to see if we can find some kind of live data related to this switch. Because that's going to tell me, I've seen a bunch of videos just researching this. Some people say you need to replace the interlock solenoid in here. Some people disconnect the interlock solenoid just to in-op it so that it's not even active. To me, that's not a very good solution. One guy lubed his handle here, and he said that fixed his problem. But we're gonna take a look. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, let's just go to transmission to start with. It is an automatic. Shouldn't be any of those. If anything, I would think it'd be under transmission data. Gear shift solenoid 1, those are the solenoids in the transmission, I think. Internal mode switch, that I believe that's not changing whenever I push the button on the shifter. So I believe that's the actual mode switch inside the transmission telling the computer that it is indeed in park. So that is not the switch we're looking at or looking for. Shoot, let's go back. Sometimes it's under engine control module. Let's go to body control module first, though. This just got halogens. Wouldn't have mattered. I could have picked either one of those, and for what we're looking for, it's not really going to matter. But this car does have halogen headlights. Now, under body control module, the body control module controls a lot of stuff. So you've got to fish through here and find what you're looking for. So I'm not going to bore you with that. Let me fish through, see if I can figure out where the switch data pid is for the switch. What I'm looking for is there's a switch connected to this button right here, and I'm looking for the data pid for that switch. So let me fish around through here. Okay, so here's the wiring diagram. There's the body control module. This wire right here comes down to what they call the key capture solenoid actuator. And that's the little actuator solenoid that keeps the key locked in the cylinder. Right next to it is the park position switch, transmission shift lever. And this is what sends the signal to the body control module, telling it whether or not the shift lever is fully engaged in the park position. So, pretty simple circuit. like I say, I'm pretty sure what's going on is the switch is just not instantly disengaging. And let me show you where the switch is at. So here's the picture of the shift lever. There's your button. So this is the front of the shifter. 2 is the park position switch. So whenever you hit this, it's pulling a little rod up and down, actuating this switch. So we just got to figure out what's going on with that rod. So to get this thing apart, I'm going to turn the key. Well, the key was on. I'm going to turn the key on. I'm going to shift this all the way down. I do have the emergency brake pulled. And I can't really. There's a little plug right here you pull out. And then there's a Torx in here. I'm not sure what size. I grabbed a T20 because that's a very common size for a lot of the cars, and it feels like that's actually it. I don't know if that's got to come all the way out or if you can just loosen it. Okay. Okay, so now what this actually is moving really free. A lot, I mean, it feels smoother than what it does whenever I hit this button right here. So what I want to do, I'm going to get the scan tool. Key's still on. We're going to watch the data pid here. Right now it's going to be active because I've got it over here in manual. So we're going to push it down. We're going to push it to the park position. And I'm just going to push this down to put it in the active state. Then I'm going to release it slowly. And I'm going to see if it's consistent. If it is, that's going to tell me everything in the shifter area here is working fine. And the problem is from this point to the handle point. In other words, maybe it's not lubed up real good, so that whenever this button is released, it's not allowing this to freely slide up. So we'll see. We'll see if me pushing down on this and slowly releasing it activates the switch each and every time consistently. In fact, I might be able to show both these at the same time. And I can actually hear the solenoid. Now there was a delay right there. I'm not really happy with that. Yeah, too much of a delay. Again, should have already went into the inactive. Yep, we're going to have to tear into this. It's still showing active. And there. So let me pull this up. It just takes some trim tools to get this stuff up. Okay, I'll show you how I got my trim tool, so move that out of the way. If you start like right here, there's a little part you can get under and just work your way around. It should just snap off. And you're going to have some connectors, cigarette lighter and such, but actually it looks like we can just lay that to the side. So I'm going to get, looks about like maybe a 7mm to pull this part off, and then we're going to get to what we need to get to, hopefully. Alright guys, so I got to the switch. It's right here on the side. So to get this up, you take those 4 screws out, and you got a couple side clips right here that if you're kind of able to get over here on the side and push this one off to the side, and then you can get one side up. And then I just used a screwdriver to come in from behind here and push this other one over just a little bit, and it came right up. But this is the switch. Hopefully you can see how that works. And the problem is obviously going to be in this switch. So the question is, will we be able to clean this to where it'll work consistently every single time? The switch is kind of loose, as though it's kind of just clipped in there. So I'm going to see if I can actually pull that out. Let me see if I can clamp this camera somewhere to where you can see. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and shift this down so that I can get to this switch. And all it is a little micro switch. And I've got the scan tool sitting over here to where I can watch if it's active, or when it goes active or inactive. And I'm just going to actuate this contact right here with a screwdriver or the little pry tool. And I'm going to watch and listen. I'm going to listen more than anything. You don't really have to have a scan tool. You can actually just listen to the, to the lock cylinder. So right now it's in an active state. I'm going to simulate the switch being up like that. You can see what it does whenever you push it down. Then you go up. And right now it's staying in the active state. So I'm going to push on the brake, pull the shift lever down, and I'm just going to take and I'm going to manually move the switch to where right now it should be inactive, active, but nothing's happening. So those contacts inside this micro switch are definitely bad. So what I'm going to try to do is pry this switch out of here. And see if I can get a part number off of it to where hopefully you can actually order this same exact switch and just replace it. So it does look like it's just got a just a little clip. it's got its own little set of studs right here. Yeah, whenever I jumper the pins, simulating this switch, making and breaking, that solenoid works every single time. And that switch is definitely not made to come apart. And just broke that little tab off. No big deal. You can stick it in there and put a little bit of hot glue on it to hold it in. So be careful with that tab. I mean, I didn't even hardly pry on it to get this thing out, and it must have broke. I've seen people replace the entire shift mechanism here. That seems like an awful lot of money and work just for an individual switch. So I think what I'm going to try to do, this has got a little rubber seal around that little plunger. I'm going to try to see if I can shoot some contact cleaner in it and see if that frees it up at all. If not, what you can do is jumper both these together, and that solenoid will stay disengaged all the time. So every time you put it in park, the cylinder will actually be disengaged. But the first thing I'm going to try to do, I'm going to pull this lever off and see if we can shoot some contact cleaner into it. I'd like to get that little rubber piece out of there. I'm about out of contact cleaner. That did it. Can you hear that? Hopefully you can see can you see that data pid? And the switch. So I'm going to hit the switch, inactive, active, inactive, active, and you can hear the solenoid. I'm going to hit the switch real fast. I want you to listen to the solenoid in here. So that switch is working now. So all I did was I got some contact cleaner, and I think that's probably all you're going to want to use, because contact cleaner is actually made to be able to go into a switch and contacts and clean them up, and it's not oily. It dries clean, and it's not going to corrode or anything like that. So I'm going to put this little lever back on. I'm going to stick this back in the hole. Now that little tab broke off that retains it, but I'm going to clean that up, and I'll just put a little shot of hot glue around it, and that should hold it in there and should fix this once and for all. So let me get this lever put back on, and I'm going to get the switch put back in there, and I'll turn the camera back on. Alright guys, so got it all put back together. And I just used a little RTV. I just put a little RTV in between the switch and this housing, and then I put the switch back in there. It's not even fully dry yet, but you can see how it's still just solid as can be. So, and you can hear the solenoid. So that's definitely going to fix that problem. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this stuff back together. You saw it coming out. Putting it back together is just the reverse. And if you want to take care of your Camaro key problem, that's all you got to do. And like I say, if you wanted to actually take these two wires right here and put them together, that would permanently keep it in the disengaged position. I'm not saying that's a good idea, but that would be definitely an option if you wanted to take that approach. Anyway, I'm done. I guess just to show you that it will work. So that takes care of that problem. Okay, we'll catch you in the next one. See you later, guys.